The St. Louis Muny prepares for its 101st season and also is completing a major renovation. We'll have details of that next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter and welcome to City Corner. Today we're taking a behind-the-scenes look at the Muny, and before we even begin that though, the Muny recently announced their new season, and I want to share that with you now. Guys and Dolls will open the season for the Muny June 10th and runs through June 16th. Then it's Kinky Boots from June 19th to the 25th. 1776, that's June 27th through July 3rd. It's Cinderella, July 8th through the 16th. Footloose, July 18th through the 24th. Paint Your Wagon, July 27th through August the 2nd. And Matilda, August the 5th through the 11th. Kwofe Coleman, by the way, just started a new job there, and he's our guest today on City Corner. Kwofe, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
And I say new job because you've been at the Muny for a long, long time. But your new job is a new job for the Muny too, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have not traditionally had a managing director role. You know, in the past few years, we've grown a lot as we went through our 100th and entering the 101st season. You know, as you mentioned, there are a number of things going on. It's really a great time, a great turn of a century for us as an institution. So part of what we needed were some more leadership roles to kind of keep everything going along. We're in a major capital campaign. We're in a major construction, and we turned 101. So, wow. You know, I'm honored, I'm humbled, I'm excited about the opportunity. It's been a place where I grew up, spent most of my life at the Muny in various roles. So.
Hey, you're not the only one, right?
Right, no, it seems to be a part of the culture there. You know, our president and CEO, Denny Reagan, just celebrated his 50th year at the Muny at our 100th, and to think that an individual has dedicated that much of their life to an institution to really shape it is a great thing to follow, a great example for all of us.
Yeah, I imagine you hear a lot of stories, because I know I was going to the Muny ever since I was this big, and just so many memories of the shows I've seen there, the big stars back in the day. Just as part of my life I'll never forget, and I bet people walk up to you and talk to you about that all the time.
You know, that is truly the best part of the job. I think that I consider myself very fortunate to work in a place that means so much to so many individuals, and not that it means just a lot, but it means a different thing to everyone. You know, it's a place where people have met the love of their life, where people have had great memories and great moments, and that's what's important. I think that it's an institution that matters in the fabric of this city and the culture of this city, and you know, it's something that we all take great pride in.
And I mentioned that this is the Muny's 101st season, so we should point out for those people that don't know that the Muny is the oldest outdoor theater in the United States. What does it compare with?
You know, from a musical theater standpoint, not many. You know, we have a very rare combination of our age and longevity, but also our size. You know, to seat 11,000 people a night is relatively unheard of nowadays for a musical theater. So there are a few other theaters that are similar in scope. From Kansas City has a Starlight. There's Walnut Street up in Pennsylvania, but as far as longest consecutive running, there aren't many close seconds. And again, that's not really some great accomplishment of the staff or the institution. It's a community accomplishment. You know, nothing like this survives and endures without support and constant loyalty and a great relationship with the community. So that is truly a St. Louis accomplishment more than a Muny specific.
Yeah. And one thing I always think is neat about the Muny, I guess it's a little thing, but I don't think they do this everywhere. You've always had those free seats in the back, and I always thought that was such a great idea to give the opportunity to maybe some people that wouldn't go otherwise.
Look, it's part of who we are, and I would go as far as to say it's imperative to make sure that every single person in this community has access to this experience, regardless of financial means. So the free seats down to the box seats, there's this amazing moment where you realize that everyone in that space is sharing one moment and sharing one experience. And you know, I think we are in a moment in time where it's important to highlight shared experiences and common experiences. So the free seats have been a part of who we always have been and will always be part of what we are. It's there are many people that sit all the way up front whose first experience was in the free seats, and that was their introduction. And I think it's important for people to have that.
And the Muni's changed a lot over the years, not just in its appearance, but in sort of the type of shows it's produced. 101 years ago, didn't it start out mostly Shakespearean work?
Yeah, it did, and then moved through operettas, and it's just always been what does the community want to see? You know, our process of even selecting shows all the way to now. If you look way back, there used to be a survey that would be in the local paper, and now we survey the audience at the end of each season before the next. You know, it's not about what are the 7 shows that as a staff or as leadership we want to put on. It's about what does this community want to see? How can the community see themselves reflected on stage, both in the titles of the shows and in the cast? And so it's about what do we do for the people that we serve? And
you must be doing something right, because you know you can go to a theater. I've been to a lot of good theaters, and they have slow nights once in a while. And maybe you guys do too, but I swear, on all the years I've gone, it seems like there's not an empty seat any night I ever go.
You know, look, we've been, knock on wood, we've done really well. Again, this place is tied to the tradition of the city, and St. Louis, you know, there are a number of things to be proud of in this city, and we're just happy to be one of those. But yeah, you know, people have been coming there with their parents and grandparents. You know, we have some subscribers that are the 6th generation of their family, and if you think of it that way, it's been a part of families and traditions for a really long time, and that's how we endure.
I wish I had kept a scrapbook all these years, which I didn't do, of course. I wish I'd kept every program so I could look back and remember. But I can think now of when I was young, and I'm thinking high school or junior high, that long ago, that I saw some really big stars there that I'll never forget. Like I remember I saw Lauren Bacall in Applause. I saw Pearl Bailey in the all-black Hello Dolly, which back at the time, and that was big news.
That was, I mean, that show was on Broadway, closed, came here for a week before going back. So it was, you know, Pearl Bailey, Cab Calloway, that particular production was, you know, the picture from that production still hangs in the hallway now.
Have you ever heard the story? I think I mentioned this to Denny once, and I think he said he'd seen it too. Maybe it wasn't just the night I was there, but my one remembrance of Pearl Bailey, and this just shows you the character that she was in a good way. You know how there are always those people that get up and leave a little early before the curtain call?
Yep.
Or during the curtain call?
Sure.
I'm sure that's annoying to people on stage. Well, it was the end of Hello Dolly with Pearl Bailey, and the curtain call began, and there were like dozens of people going up, and she stopped the music. She went, wait. She said, all you people leaving, get back in your seats, I'm not done. And all these people just had their heads down, and the audience started clapping. And she just ad-libbed for about 10 minutes about people leaving early, and she was just hysterical.
You know, we've been lucky to have some real legends on the stage, and when they could take a moment like that to teach a lesson, you know, it's interesting the way theater etiquette, it continues to evolve sometimes. But yeah, those folks have poured themselves into the show. I think the least we can give them is a couple more minutes of our time to stand up, applaud, and say thank you. So I did not know that story, but that is one that I will use going forward.
I'll never forget it. Kwofe, so what's your first memory of the Muny? Do you remember the first time you were ever there?
Yeah, so the first time I ever came to the Muny, I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and my older sister had won tickets through a radio show. You know, one of those radio shows.
You grew up in St. Louis.
Grew up in St. Louis. I grew up in Bell Fountain Neighbors, and so we came to the show. I believe it was Wizard of Oz, and so we came in and out of a few times from my childhood. I wouldn't say that I came every week or every summer, but every so often we were able to come to the Muny, and I knew of it. So interestingly, I started working there when I was 16 as an usher. Because my other older sister worked there, and she worked there because my mom's best friend's husband was the mail carrier for the Muny, and so my older sister worked there. She was my ride, and so I went to work with her. So that's how I started as an usher.
Well, we have an image from there. You're 16 with another group of people, and you're all sitting in the Muny seats. That had to be that must have been a fun job for someone your age.
Great job. First thing, it was an evening job, which meant you could do something else during the day and then come work at night. But more than that, the group of young folks that work there now, they're the ushers or the concession workers. It is it's a family. It's a group of people that really care about the place and care about each other. I have lifelong friends from those days sitting there
really?
as an usher. I met the kids come from all over the city, all over the metro area. So I met friends that I didn't know from school or from my neighborhood. And again, you know, when you start to realize that you're working in a place that matters in the community, there's a sense of pride that starts to build up. So, you know, some of my earliest professional lessons of how to operate and how to treat people and how to make people feel welcome in a space came from those days.
Yeah, and of course, as an usher, you get to see the show free.
See a lot of
shows. And I
shows.
was wondering, do you get to go, as an usher, do you get to go backstage? Did you ever get to meet maybe a star that you wanted to, or?
Yeah, so we were backstage. You know, at that point, the usher's office was backstage, so we walked through there. And I'll say this to this day, one of the neatest things about this institution is everyone that's back there putting the show or the facility or the operations together, there are no egos. Some of the biggest stars, I've sat at our backstage canteen and eaten with stars that I a week before I'd seen on TV or TV or film. I remember meeting Simone when she did our Aida, not the most recent one, but I believe that was maybe 2005, and Phyllis Smith, John O'Hurley, you name it, Demetria McKinney, Jennifer Holliday. You know, you've just passed these people randomly backstage, and everyone's there for the same thing, to make this experience something memorable for the audience.
My last big star movie just made me, Muny memory, just made me remember, I interviewed Jennifer Holliday at her hotel room when she was at the Muny. I guess that was her last tour of Dreamgirls, right? Or her last production of Dreamgirls, as far as I know.
She did one after in Austin at I believe the Zach Theater. But yeah, when she came and did Dreamgirls, that's again, you know, when this is all said and done for me, whenever that is, there are a few moments that will stick in my mind forever, and meeting her was definitely one of them.
Yeah, and I gave her her first piece of gooey butter cake. She'd never heard of it.
Is that right?
And I gave it to her.
Look,
and I heard she liked it.
Gooey butter cake. It's the gateway drug of St. Louis.
Right. I didn't tell her that when I gave it to her. Here's another image of you, and this is with somebody that's sort of in the news now, Kennedy Holmes.
Look, the other side of what we do, when we're presenting theater, but at the same time, we also have this opportunity where we're a place for people to train and be educated in theater. And, you know, look, we could never claim that because of the Muny, Kennedy Holmes is who she is, but she was a Muny kid and performed in some shows. She was in Aida. She's the first memory I have of Kennedy is when she did Hairspray, and she was our Little Inez, and she was, I believe, 10 years old at that point.
Wow.
And Little Inez doesn't have a huge part, but Kennedy stole the show every night. And to see what she's doing now, it's not just a sense of pride for the Muny or any of us that know her personally. It's a sense of pride for this community. Kennedy is such an amazing representation of the next generation of this community. You know, I couldn't be prouder of her. She's an awesome young lady, and you know, the sky's the limit for her.
Well, listen, when we come back, I want to talk to you about the Muny's been in the middle of a huge renovation project, and that's pretty exciting. So we'll pick up on that when we come back.
Great.
We're talking with Kwofe Coleman of the Muny, and we'll continue with City Corner after this.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices.
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Action!
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
$150/90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
I'm Steve Potter. Welcome back to City Corner. We're talking about the 101st season for the Muny in St. Louis. Kwofe Coleman is their new managing director, and he's our guest today. We've talked about a lot of things. You know, we talked about Denny Reagan earlier, who runs the place now. But
Yep.
I think you said he started as an usher like you did.
So Denny started up in the cleanup crew.
The cleanup crew.
Yeah, he did. Now, I believe he was also an usher in the run. So in 50 years, I think he's done just about every job there, or at least knows how to do it. But yeah, that's where he started.
Someone else I'd just like to mention, give them a little heads up, is Mike Isaacson.
Yeah.
I knew Mike for years back when he was associated with the Fox Theater and stuff before he started his Muny job. Mm-hmm. And he's a key player too.
Absolutely. What Mike has brought to the artistic side of the institution is really incredible. He's been there, I believe this is the 6th season as artistic director, and what you see on that stage starts with a lot of passion from Mike and his team. And like I said, he's been a great asset to what we see, what is presented to the audience. They should know that Mike truly pours himself into what comes out there, and it's really neat to be a part of.
Absolutely. I just kind of want to mention the season real briefly,
Sure.
and maybe you might have a comment on the shows a little bit. And the new season at the Muny starts off with a show that I actually saw at the Muny back, I think I was a teenager, and I think Lou Thez, who was a professional boxer, was in it. This is way before your time. Guys and Dolls.
Guys and Dolls. We try to balance the season with things that will trigger a memory like that. So Guys and Dolls is one we've done a few times, but it's a fun classic. People will enjoy it.
Guys and Dolls runs June 10th through the 16th. After that, Kinky Boots, June 19th through 25th. And I did see that. It was on tour a few years ago, and I saw it at the Fox, the tour.
Yep. So it's been to the Fox on tour. I just saw it on Broadway not too long ago.
It's a great show.
It's a fantastic show, and again, we try to balance it. So you've got some old shows and you've got some newer shows. So Kinky Boots is a lot of nice surprises. I think it's something that will do really well on our stage.
And I was like a history lesson from June 27th through July the 3rd. It's 1776, the musical.
The original American Revolution musical. So
kind of like a pre-Hamilton, sort of.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it.
Then you're doing something interesting because it's really kind of a throwback, and I know Mike Isaacson has told, last time I talked to him, he mentioned that you make a point every year of doing one specifically sort of family show, and so Cinderella, is that going to be that one this year?
Yeah, so Cinderella fills that spot. We talked earlier about the fact that generations come out together and you see grandparents with their grandkids, and that's exactly what Cinderella allows us to do. It's something that you can bring the family. It's Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, so it's the true musical theater version of it, and it'll be one that you'll see a lot of little girls dressed up as princesses coming out, and those are always fun nights.
And that's July 8th through 16th. You make the point that Cinderella is sort of your family show, but I have to say there's no show at the Muny you couldn't take your family to.
Right. Look, we put some show guidelines out every spring so people know the content of the shows. We wanted to decide for themselves. But yeah, Cinderella is one. Bring the kids out. It's a story everybody knows.
There's Footloose, July 18th through 24th.
Another Muny audience favorite. Every time we do that, it's a big hit, and this one will not disappoint.
July 27th through August 2nd, Paint Your Wagon. There's a classic.
There is a classic. Now, the book is being redone.
You're doing it a little differently, though, right?
A little bit of an update to the book, just to, we're not changing the story or anything like that, but it's a little bit of an update to make it a little bit, flow a little bit better. So that'll be another good one. Similar to how we did Holiday Inn a few years ago. We made some tweaks to The Wiz last year just to make the show be able to use what we have today to tell the story in today's words the best way.
Then you close the season August 5th through 11th with Matilda, and that's the one I haven't seen.
So I have not seen Matilda either. Now, I have read the Roald Dahl book. It's a great story, and another one that leans a little bit towards bring the family. But even the teenagers will love Matilda. Even the sometimes too cool teenagers will love to come and see that.
I was one of those.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I think we all were at some point.
Yeah, we all think we are.
Yeah.
Kwofe, let's talk about what has been going on as far as it's been demolitions, and I think the whole stage is torn down.
Yeah.
When did all this begin, and explain what a big project this has been?
So we are completely rebuilding the stage. So over the next few years, there are several construction projects to kind of bring the campus. You turn 100, you throw yourself some birthday parties, but you also get a facelift. So that's essentially what's happening. We are starting with the rebuilding of the stage, which the day after the 100th season ended, we started demolition. So everything's gone from that first row of seats to the buildings backstage. Everything came out. We're putting in a brand new stage, orchestra pit. The towers will be new. The light bridge will be new. It was, the stage was the last part that hadn't really been touched. For the years leading up to this, we've taken the steps to make sure all the audience amenities were great. New seats, fans, restrooms, concession stands, you name it. But the places where the art is created and where the art is presented, those had not been touched.
And you're doing a lot of new things like with LED lights and probably technology that you hadn't had before.
Sure. In 2013, we brought in the screen, the scenery wall that's on the back of the stage. What we do is try to make a subtle combination of technology, but we're still art made by hands and nature. So it's not going to be something where you're surrounded by screens and walls. That's not what we're saying. It is to introduce the latest and best stage technology to what we do, because our audiences deserve that.
We have some images of some of the demolition process.
Sure.
That we're going to share with our audience right now. But what's it been like to be down there during all that? Because when we talk about demolition, this is not some little mess. This is a big deal.
No, we're talking about during demolition for a couple of weeks, we're talking about 40 to 50 truckloads going out every day. It's been something to see. Again, having been there for 20 years, there's also this moment where you see it's an exciting turnover of what you've always known becoming a better version of itself. So watching these two new buildings come up out of the ground, the orchestra pit being re-poured, it's been a really exciting thing to see. I'm excited to see what the future of the Muny looks like.
So what's going to happen between now and the first show of the season? And are you going to be on time?
We will, again, we're going to knock on wood again. So far, so good. Everything's on schedule. So for 2019, we will have, the stage will be done, the two buildings and the light bridge. What we won't have in 19 is the decorative covering of the buildings. And then the most important thing to me is that we are growing new trees at a tree farm outside of Chicago in Caneville, Illinois.
Now, the original trees aren't gone, are they? Those 150-year-old trees or however old they are?
So the original trees are gone. So what it was actually one original tree remaining. It was a really large oak that was on one side of the stage. We worked with arborists for a better part of a couple years to see can this, how can we preserve this tree? All the recommendations came down, look, in this rebuild, it wasn't going to survive. Now, what was interesting is when that tree came down, what we discovered was a lot of decay in there. So the reality is that tree was at, had lived an incredible lifespan. Now we're taking several steps. We cloned that tree before it came down.
Really?
So part of what we'll replant will be clones of that tree, and then the salvageable lumber, we will use some of that in a way to kind of respect the legacy of that tree on site.
What a neat
But
idea.
we tagged new trees 2 years ago to Tree Farm, where we'll bring in 30 to 40 foot trees for the 2020 season. So 2019 will look a little different, but by 2020 you'll have that huge canopy that everyone's kind of come to know and love.
And you've been talking about all the changes that the audience notices. What about backstage, places that I wouldn't normally go, where the actors go? Are you making things better for them?
Right. So as I mentioned, it's several years of construction. So in the second and third phases, we will definitely renovate the artist areas, the dressing rooms, the chorus rooms, all those spaces. Like I said, we've always made the investment for the audience first, but we are at a moment now as we turn a century and want to be our best selves. You got to make the investment backstage too.
Kwofe, I'm a little concerned. I mean, this takes a lot of money. Are my tickets going to double?
No, you know what? I think we've always been proud of is that we've remained very affordable. As people can attest to, the ticket prices have not gone up significantly. We still remain an incredibly affordable place, but we are also in a capital campaign. So what the capital campaign allows us to do is fund this renovation and also make investments in the endowment. And what the endowment allows us to do is to continue our education programs, maintain all of these things. So the short answer to your question, no, your ticket prices are not about to double. What we've been blessed with is a community that recognizes the importance of their institution, and they continue to make those investments from a donor standpoint on both individuals and corporations and family trusts.
And this is part of your new job as managing director, isn't it? The whole financial, all the balancing the sheets.
Oh gosh, well, yes and no. Look, we have an incredible team of people from our fundraising and development department to our finance and CFO. So my job is to be a part of that, but really my job is to stay out of the way of those people who know that inside and out. But yeah, you know, part of it is to make sure the community understands the asset we have and make sure we are giving the community a vehicle by which they can invest in the institution.
Well, obviously at the Muny, you know, there are opportunities for some local talented people to be on. There's the Muny Kids and other things. What about if there's a young kid that wants to be an usher like you or a stagehand? Are there opportunities, and how does a local person look into that?
Absolutely. So right now, actually in January, we start the application process. We have a full-time staff of just under 30, but a seasonal staff of over 700. You know, so there are 150 ushers, there are kids that work in concession stands. We have education and training programs that help kids work their way into the stagehand and other labor unions. You know, so the best thing I would say is visit the website, and under education, there are a host of different ways. Look, I am fortunate to be where I am today, all because I was an usher and I pushed wheelchairs up the ramp 20 years ago. So I would say to anyone that if you want an opportunity to learn theater or simply an opportunity to help and work with people, I would highly recommend taking a look at.
And before we're out of time, I know there are a lot of ways people can look into tickets or season tickets, of course. Yeah. What would you tell people about that?
So season tickets will be available March 6th. You know, I think that we have an incredibly affordable price. So, you know, I think that dedicating 7 Mondays or Wednesdays or Thursdays out of your summer to do something together as a family is worth it. So season tickets are available beginning of March. Or if there's just a couple shows you want to see, grab some single tickets in May. Or at the end of the day, there are 1,500 free seats in the back of the theater if you just want to experience some great art with your community. You know, again, whether you want to make the investment or not, it's important to do. I think it's a great experience.
Well, I can't imagine a summer in St. Louis without the Muny. And Kwofe Coleman, we want to thank you for being here. Congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you'll be there another 20 or 30 years, right?
Look, God willing.
All right. Thanks, Kwofe.
Take care.
It's the Muny. Be sure and check out the new season. It's their 101st season in St. Louis. I'm Steve Potter. Thanks for watching.